I think what really matters is how you react to these situations or to these incidents that happen.
Yeah.
You know, the sun goes down on all of us.
I'm either two ends of the spectrum. I'm either very dramatic, things go crazy,
Right.
or I just stay calm and I don't say anything and I'll keep quiet. You know what I mean?
Welcome to the Unleashed Potential Podcast, the #1 Australian podcast brought to you by your hosts, Omar Hassan, Omer Elmi, Abdullahi Haji, and myself, Abduljabar Jama. We discuss both meaningful and everyday topics, so sit back, relax, and enjoy our conversation as we share our experiences.
So what's going on, guys?
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
How you feeling, Naomi?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, it's good, man. New
Yeah.
location. Timing changed a bit. Feeling fresh. New start, man.
Did a lot of work over the past few weeks, man.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
work,
A
bro.
lot of headaches, but yeah, we got it through. Yeah,
It's been crazy, hasn't it?
it's been pretty wild.
How's the weather keeping up with you guys?
Oh, it's like spring now. Technically, it's about to be spring, but it's been spring for the last week. As in, it's warm days and cold days and rainy and sunny. It's like a mixture of it all. A little bit spasmodic. Yeah.
The afro is keeping you warm, yeah?
Oh yeah, it's keeping me going. It's
Yeah.
keeping me going. Yeah, especially because in the nights here it's getting really cold.
Yeah.
During the day it's pretty warm, regardless if it's raining or not. But at night it does get cold. But yeah, got a little bit of insulation up top.
That's good.
The weather's always crisp, man. I like the weather. Raining, hot, cold, doesn't matter what it is. You just dress for the time, man. You just gotta adjust. The less complaining you do, the better day you're gonna have, man. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Haji's not here.
Yep.
Yeah, Haji's got a lot going on in his plate
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be a bit away for a little while. But inshallah, all the best to him.
Just the three of us, huh?
Three amigos.
Three amigos.
amigos.
Yeah. Hopefully, inshallah, the listeners will actually enjoy it having a three-way instead of four voices.
Yeah, we
Get a lot more out of us.
Yeah, well, Elmi's got to talk a little bit more this time.
Yeah.
More Elmi opinions.
Obviously, Haji's missing now, so I've got to somewhat cover his position, you know?
Yeah.
So, in the spirit of the fact that we've got this new location, new setup, we've got a different time as well.
Yeah.
We haven't been recording as much as we would actually like to.
Mm.
I figured, we should try and kick off a lot of these episodes with something, because we don't catch up on a regular basis, right?
No.
And sometimes you might come across something that's completely different to what I come across, or I might not even be aware of the thing that you guys come across. So I thought, just to make things light, kick off the episode really light, to introduce a segment called What's on Your Radar, where basically in the past week, or from the previous episode until now, what's one thing that's been on your radar that you've that has piqued your interest, that you think most people might not be aware of?
Well, for me, it's the vaccine. We got our upcoming vaccine coming hopefully in January, I think they said. So early next year. Thing is coming from the UK. At first they said it's going to be mandatory, and I think they backtrack on that. But yeah, I want to really look into it, make sure it's legit, make sure it's serious. But if it is, that means my travel plans have opened back up again. I just if I get
Is it a surefire vaccine?
That's
it's
what I
definitely
said.
guaranteed?
I got to do my research on it, but obviously it's certified by the medical board and all that sort of stuff here. But obviously I'm not going to just take their word for it. I'm just going to go look at the research and all the studies and just make sure they actually did their due diligence, they did their trials properly, and if everything looks good, maybe wait a month on it, just make sure there's no crazy side effects that happen early. Just let
Grow another arm.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Those people in trials, if maybe a little bit further down the line something weird happens, we'll pick up on it. But if everything's good, alhamdulillah, I'm gone, man. I've been in Perth for too long. We've done a lot in Perth. I know we've travelled a lot since COVID's been here, because alhamdulillah here in WA we haven't got hit as hard. We're actually back to normal now. Within WA everything's back to normal.
Yo, shout out to, what's his name? Mark McGowan, is that a Premier?
McGowan, man.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, eh?
He shut
Locked down all the borders.
He locked down
He's keeping
early.
us safe, man, which is a good thing, you know?
Yeah, we were one
There
of
are
the
a lot of
first,
people actually opposing him early on,
Mhm.
with the fact that he wanted to lock down the borders straight up. But
Tell that to no one.
now everybody's so happy about it that they're actually praising it to that level and actually calling it the real kind of leadership.
Yeah, because the thing is, especially nowadays, everyone will always oppose everyone else, regardless of what it is. So when you know you're doing the right thing, it's kind of hard to stick to your guns, you know. But he did. He was like, especially because in such a serious scenario where people have their lives being lost, he literally went, I'm in a position of power. I don't care how you feel about me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make sure I protect my people, you know, because everyone under him is obviously his responsibility. And he thought the best way was to lock down the borders and to isolate and to follow the rules that the medical practitioners and the professionals obviously.
Which is what leadership should. Most people in leadership, they should be doing these things, not just follow their own whims and desires. You know, they should
politicians
be
aren't expert in every field. They're not transport experts. They're not logistic experts. They're not medical experts. You know what I mean? So their job is to seek that information from. Since they're in that position of power, they have that direct line to those professionals to take that information and make the best policies, which he did. And since he did a good job and we're doing all well, we traveled a lot in Perth.
Man.
Now it's time for me to go out the borders, so I just got to wait another half a
year. I think obviously first you can't travel internationally straight away. They're going to obviously open the Australian borders so you can travel freely without interstate, without quarantining and all this. So after that, I reckon, I don't know, man. Maybe December, January next year.
No. I saw a report saying that it was gonna be 2 year before anybody even decides to travel. Even if it's open, the fear of potentially getting reinfected again with that disease. Like you look at New Zealand, for example, they were COVID free for like 100 days straight, and then apparently. Nobody said mashallah, you know. But you know, they got a couple of cases, and now they're back to lockdown. They started off with 3 days lockdown, and then my mom called me saying, "Yo, we're on lockdown for like 3 days because apparently there's some, you know, cases that have been reported." And then they're locked down again for another 12 days. So because they saw the numbers increasing. But yeah, man, like it's crazy because you can you get that sense of feeling that you can never be COVID free, and I think that's what might stop people from actually going overseas, even if they have the vaccine.
Yeah, because people forget of how fast this thing spread in the first place. You know, the whole issue at the beginning was one person comes through, and then within a week, everyone could potentially have it just because it's exponential growth in transfer. Yeah. So the issue now is because obviously it's not going to be mandatory. You can't force people to take the vaccine. So even if you are vaccinated and you are immune, you're still carrying it. So you could potentially still transfer it to people that don't have the vaccine.
That's right.
So if I'm vaccine free, I go on a holiday because I have the vaccine. I go on a holiday. I enjoy myself. I come back to Perth. Yeah. I might ruin it for everyone that doesn't have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a bit. There's
many layers to it. Yeah. Elms, man, what's on your radar? What has been on your radar?
Bro, pretty much like what's on my radar, I'll probably say what happened in Lebanon, man. The devastating bombs. Yes. Not bombs, the explosion. Sorry. Yeah. That happened in Lebanon. What was it called? Ammonium nitrate, something like that? Yeah, it was at the port and caught on fire.
That was one huge
was tragic,
explosion,
man. Yeah, that was very sad.
Especially when you see like the videos that come out.
The shockwave of it.
Man.
Not just the initial blast, but the shockwave that followed through was crazy.
Yeah. And what's even more crazy is actually the conspiracy theories that come afterwards. It's like with every incident, every global incident, there's always a conspiracy.
You can't trust whoever's in power.
Yeah.
You're always going to have some sort of like
it's
conspiracy.
Like it's always in there, you know. And you know who's the first person that actually get these? They're usually the mums and the aunties, and they're sending it through, man.
yeah, WhatsApp group, that's it. Yeah. But I think that again, we're just talking about Michael Gowon's leadership. I mean, like the leaders in Lebanon and the people in power there, they messed up pretty much because everyone knows what happens if you store that large amount of ammonium nitrate and if anything happens to it, and the fact that they just let it sit there in the port and that's why they're all coming out of power, and the people are frustrated, and the people have been frustrated about the corruption in Lebanon for years now, and then this on top of it and coronavirus on top of that.
That's right.
It just turned the switch for everybody, and everyone's like, no, we're sick of this, we need some change, you know. And I think that's the if I could sum up 2020 in general, it would probably be forced change. You know what I mean? Because remember how we had Obama change, or what he was saying, whatever, let's change. And every year, everyone's talking about new year, new me, let's change, new year. I think Corona came in right at the end of 2019. It's like, oh yeah, this time you are going to change. Like, there's no joking about it. Like you're going to be forced to change. And yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
Fair enough, man. Yeah, that's a really good point that you mentioned about the.
I want to ask you,
Lebanon.
what's on your radar, man?
For me, it would be, I don't know if you guys came across this, but there was some child sex abuse going on with a charity organization called Penny Appeal in Gambia. Apparently, it's I don't know if it's actual concrete evidence or not, whether they've gone through due process or not. But from what I read at the time, it was just allegations. And I think it was the Gambian authorities that actually investigated this after receiving certain reports. But this is a Muslim charity organization, and one that I can safely say that I contributed to in terms of donating, because I thought at the time that they were decent. I haven't heard any, and you give them the benefit of the doubt, right? But then to come across this and then to see the way they were handling it, especially on social media, some of the responses and how they were downplaying this incident as just a, what was the word they used, man? There was a particular statement that they used where I think they called it a breach of, it wasn't even conduct or something. I don't know, man. Like they gave it some title to just paint it as something, But yeah, it's very concerning, and puts doubt. Even if these things like come out to be untrue, it still puts doubt in it, and the fact that that it's an Islamic organization, just it hits you twice.
Yeah, it does.
So. But yeah, to get into the episode, the topic that we have, inshallah, for today is basically, as I said earlier, 2020 has been a crazy year. So many things have happened, and so many things continue to happen on a day-to-day, if not weekly basis, right? And an important aspect of that is these things are going to continuously happen. Things in your life are always going to happen. They might happen to multiple people at once. They might happen to you specifically. But I think what really matters is how you react to these situations or to these incidents that happen. Yeah. The sun goes down on all of us, right?
Yep.
At the end of the night, at the end of the day, the sun goes down on all of us. And, sometimes two people might go through the same situation, but one might come off better, one might come off worse. And the only deciding factor would be how that person reacted to it or how they handled that situation. Like you look at WA compared to Victoria, compared to all these, COVID hit all of us, but the way we reacted to it is completely different, and now the outcome is completely different. So what I want to talk is on a personal level. What is our reaction when it comes to certain incidents that happen in our lives, and why do you think that it is so important to focus on that and not the actual incident itself?
Oh, okay, I'll go first.
That's a good question, eh?
The first thing you got to realize is in this life, you obviously have, like you said, your choices, the things that you choose to do and you put out there, and also the things that other people do to you. Now, you can affect what you do, obviously, the way you act, your conduct, your actions are all based on you, but you can't force other people to do certain things. You can't tell or know how someone else is going to interact with you or in your life, you know what I mean? So you got to be able to control both of them. And the second one is you control your reactions. Now, me, as a young kid, I was very defensive, and I had a very big issue with reactions. Now, I never started problems, so my actions were never bad. So I'll never go out start fights. I'll never go out start any incidents. But the way I reacted generally caused some of those incidents of, a few times.
To lead to that.
Yeah, so you'd be hanging with your friends, someone will come out and say something smarky or whatever it is, and you could always just go, hey man, look, we don't want no problems, and move along. But for me, it was always being defensive first. It's more like, no, hold on, why are you doing that? What's wrong with you? And then that would just always, instigate it. And afterwards, it was always like, Jabbar, you're always getting into incidents and fights and what's going on? And I was like, but it's not me, man. People always have a problem with me, you know what I mean? Then I realized, no, it's the way I'm interacting with these people, because you don't know what someone else is going through. Some dude could have got divorced that morning, or found out his wife is cheating him, drove to work late, got fired, got into an accident, walked past, and then, you bumped into him, and the first thing he goes, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? And you could just go, nothing, my bad, sorry, it was an accident, and walk on. But you saying something back, like you said, you don't know what that guy's going through. So that guy's obviously on the edge, so he's going to go off. But the way you reacted is what's going to set it off or not. So I really did have to look, and I think one thing that really helped me with my reactions was martial arts, because that taught me to react based on my intellect, my logic, rather than my emotion. So the first thing you're doing is reacting based on how you feel. No matter what it is, you're gonna have a problem, even if it's something positive. So if you're having a good day, you see something and you got really excited about it, you might end up spending money on something a week later. You go, I didn't really need that, but you were so excited and happy and impressed that day that you went out and you spent $1,000 or something that you just wasted on. So the fact that you just need to sit down, calm down, and just be logical about it, being able to take that pause before you react is really, really important.
Do you always find yourself pausing before you actually react? Or are you sort of like, as soon as something hits you, that you react instantly?
Look, as I've obviously as I've grown older and matured over the years, like I try to stop, think, and say, you know what, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? But obviously, when I was a bit younger, and still today, sometimes with human beings, you make mistakes. I'm either two ends of the spectrum. I'm either very dramatic, things go crazy,
right,
or I just stay calm and I don't say anything and I keep quiet. You know what I mean? So that's my personality. But alhamdulillah, like, you learn every time, like when you go through trials and tribulations and things come out of nowhere, you learn how to react to things better as you get older, you know. But obviously, like, an advice I'd give out to the youth out there and to other people, firstly, obviously for myself, you know, assess the situation before you react, and like just think before you ink. That's the saying.
Yeah.
You know?
They
say that back in the day, think before you ink, or think before you say, think before you spray. I don't know.
But all these fancy lines.
You know how it is, bro. Yeah.
If I was gonna add advice, I would say have very good friends around you. Because sometimes it just takes one friend to go, hey man, relax, it's not worth it. Like, to completely stop what you're doing. I've done it to some friends. I've had friends do it to me, where they just, because they're not involved in that incident and they just came through, they have no emotions in that, they'll just be like, hey, relax, it's not worth it. You
wanna test, ladies, actually this is advice for the ladies, you wanna test your potential partner's reaction, take him to a football match, especially if he plays football. If he plays basketball, take him to a basketball
something he's
match.
Passionate about.
Definitely, man. And just watch his reaction when an elbow comes flying in or a slide tackle comes flying in. Watch the reaction, you know. A lot of people, you know, they act out of emotion based on the situation. Do you guys think what happens to the person, so the incident, is more important than how you react?
No, because like I said, sometimes you really have no control on what happens. Like, if you get into a car accident because some dude was speeding, didn't look at the stop sign, what could you have possibly have done to prevent him from doing that? You don't know that guy was there. He was driving to work normally. Like, so your car's in a total mess. All these incidents happening. How are you going to react in that situation? Are you going to be more worried about the fact that you're late, or that your car's busted, or you're going to just be like, hey, look, insurance can handle all that? Work, obviously they can't say nothing because it's an accident. It's not like they're going to fire you over it. Are you going to just be calm and go, hey, let me just make sure everyone's okay? You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to do so. But the best way, like Elmi said, is you learn. Like, no one's perfect. Like, you're going to react. Kids are always going to be reacting emotional. As a parent, you got to teach them how to, like, you just got to learn that sort of stuff. And the way I say, you know how people go, you learn from your mistakes more than you learn from your wins. I'd kind of change that. This is what my coach told me. He goes, you only learn from your mistakes if you actually, like, look at it and assess it.
If you assess it.
Actually assess it. So some people go, oh, that's a mistake, I'm not doing that again. What you're not going to do? What are you going to change? What exactly is it? If you're not going to, because like you said, someone can hit you, you can react badly, but if you're going to automatically think that it's that guy's fault, he did it,
that's a problem.
So therefore my reaction didn't matter, I was valid in my reaction, you're never going to learn from that incident. You're not going to learn a single thing.
And that's the other thing, is people justify their reaction based on the incident that happened. Like, a lot of people would say, look, you would have reacted the same if it happened to you. You know, or the fact that, look, you didn't have to go through this, therefore you don't have any right to actually criticize. Well, okay, why don't you criticize it and see whether you were in the right when it comes to your reaction? You know, so do you think they're valid in justifying? You know, and
it really depends on the scenario. Like, I gotta be serious. Like, if the scenario's called, like, let's say someone just comes out of nowhere and smacks your mum right across the face hard. You can't tell me you're gonna sit there, pause, assess the situation. How big is this guy? Should I call the cop? Nah, man, you're jumping straight in that pot.
No. Okay,
So then, are you gonna tell that guy that jumped in?
No, but this is something that didn't happen to you specifically. It happened to your mum, right? Like she got slapped in your right in front of you, right?
Yeah.
But let's assume somebody is walking past and you're walking the opposite direction, and they just shoulder bump you, without looking, for example, and they look back as if it was your fault. Now, this can either go two ways. You can either assess that situation and be like, oh, I'm sorry, and just, that's it. It finishes, even though it wasn't your fault. You've apologized. And if you're Muslim, you still believe that you get the ajr for diffusing that situation, even though you're in the right. So you diffuse it by saying, oh, I'm sorry, and that person walks off and you walk off or you can return back with a certain statement, or a word.
I'll give you that scenario. That happens to me quite often. Obviously, you're not going to be walking around the shops trying to bump people.
No, somebody bumps into you.
It gets cramped, yeah. Someone bumps into me. Normally what I do, I just keep them going. Someone just bumped into me. Like, if I bump into a person the other way around, I'm bumping into the person. I act like, if he's got something to say, he'll say something. But I'll keep on walking. But if he turns around and says, hey, you bumped me, obviously I'm going to say, look, I'm sorry. Look, it's a bit tight, man. Like, what do you want me to do, But in that sort of situation, everyone reacts differently, bro.
For me,
it depends. Like, but if a person's on the edge, and if I bump the person that's on the edge, it's gonna be.
It's not
gonna be a problem.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, you're justifying the situation, right? Like, using the situation.
If someone's on the edge, like honestly, my reaction would be someone's on the edge and he's on that type of level.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come down, and like try to, I bumped you. I'm gonna go up to his level. We want to see who goes to the highest level. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is in my because bro, like if I was in the shopping center, right? Someone bumped into me to say hey, and say hey, you bumped into me and started going off with me. I'll tell him, oh look, calm down, it's an accident, and he wants to make a scene. Then we're gonna have a scene.
Yeah, I'm with Elmi.
Okay, you see, that's what I'm saying. Look,
no, but here's the thing. I'm with Elmi in the sense that you diffuse it. You diffuse it, right? So if someone bumps into you, you go, "Hey, my bad, my fault, whatever." You walk away. But if that guy still starts following you, still starts talking out, dude, we're walking out somewhere where there's no cameras. See if you follow me there. Like, there's one thing where, like, obviously, like I said, you're gonna obviously try to stop that situation, right? Completely prevent it, and I'm gonna do my best to prevent it. But if you're gonna keep going, now you turn, because if he's on edge, he has a problem, not me. So he has a problem, he bumps into me, he's trying to make his problem my problem. I don't want that. I'm walking away. Look, but if you force that problem to be my problem, like by keep following me, keep harassing me, now it's my problem and I'm gonna have to solve it. Like,
look,
one way or the other.
Obviously you're not gonna get violent. If you really assess majority of situations that go around today, like just say Perth, you bump someone, they're on the edge, they're going off at you.
If you say sorry, it's done, yeah.
You say sorry, try to calm down, and they're still trying to go off at you. Obviously, he's trying to be the macho man over there, right? Obviously, you're not going to take the rubbish that he's dishing your way. You're going to try to, like, assess the situation, but obviously there's not going to be any violence. I doubt it, because there's obviously going to be words, confrontational words thrown across left and right. But obviously, as Muslims, like, if you go back to the deen, we've got to conduct ourselves in public with respect, you know what I mean? So if it was a public place, and I assess the situation as a Muslim, right? I'd say, you know what? There's little kids around. There's, mothers, fathers, families. Hey, man, I'll just walk away from the situation.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10.
I'll take the L. 9 times out, I'll take the L. But if it was somewhere in a different environment, like, say, for example, the park, where there's not many people.
You handle it in front
because
of them,
obviously,
right?
you gotta assess the situation. Okay, I bumped this guy. He's on edge.
Like,
he's going off.
You don't have a lot of time to assess the situation. All you can do is make a split-second decision.
So me, sometimes I think when I'm in that type of reaction, I actually think if I get violent with this guy, he knocks me out or I knock him out, I could potentially go to jail. You ruin your whole life because the laws are very tough here.
Of course, yeah.
You ruin your whole life. You're gonna do a minimum of 6 months for what is it? Grievous bodily harm. Just over someone bumping your shoulder, is that worth it?
But here's the thing: 9 times out of 10, I'm sorry, my bad, because they're trying to start something. So the second they see that you're not going to give in, they walk away. It happens trust me, it happens all the time. Some guy will give you a look. What are you looking at? Nothing. You walk away. Nothing happens, right? But that one dude that's following you, like I said, walk away, because if he's behind you and tries to assault you, then you're not copying no charges. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can give it to
But
him.
it's-
But
yeah.
like I said, majority of the time, sorry, my bad, a diffusing of the situation solves it almost all the time. Like I've got bumped into probably multiple times in a year. I haven't had a single fight in 5-6 years.
Bro,
you know what I mean?
I'll
Like,
walk past like
doesn't
I don't
happen.
I don't realize it.
Yeah, but
Just
do
keep
you
walking.
apply the same standard when it comes to all your other
always.
problems that happen to you?
Always. So for me, it's always
everything's different.
for me. Always is make sure there's no issue at the moment. Solve it. Even if there's a problem where you're supposed to solve in that moment, and you're in an emotional state, and I know the way I'm going to react is emotional, so I would rather squash it, get into a better state of mind, and then come back. So I've seen it many times. I'll be angry, I just go quiet, and I'll leave. So for me, it's more like just leave the situation before I get emotional to a point where I'm not going to think logically. I'm going to leave, defuse, calm down. And now while I'm not in that
I've seen it
heightened
plenty
state, I can
times,
start thinking about what I need to do and solve the situation.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, even though you do want to do the right thing afterwards, you can make things way worse and not fixable
Being
in
in
that
that-
moment.
being in
with
that state,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll always just leave it.
So now,
Yeah.
what I wanna touch on right now is maybe just the Islamic perspective of how we are taught to actually react when it comes to these situations, things that are outside your control, things that are within your control, and things that don't happen to you directly, but they happen in front of you, right? So somebody might, for example, be in a certain state which needs assistance, and there's a whole bunch of other people there that can help that person, and you're one of them. So do you go react and try and help, or do you sort of let somebody else? Like, that's just one example, right? So there's certain things that might happen in front of you, but not directly to you. There's something that happens directly to you, but it's outside of your control, right? Like COVID, for example, like a car accident that you didn't foresee. It can be anything, right? And there's some things that happen to you, and you actually have control over it, right? So it might be like you might be having a little discussion with a friend or a brother or something, and it gets a little heated, and you can sort of sense based on the discussion that it's going to lead to an escalated point, and there might be an argument, potentially, physical altercation. So what does Islam teach us in terms of basically stopping ourselves or reacting in the best possible way?
When you're heated and you're emotional, what should you do Islamically? You just take a seat. They say sit down, and if that doesn't work, you lay down. If not, go do your wudu. To do your wudu, you got to leave whatever the situation is, do your wudu, and then go back to sitting or laying down, which goes back to my point what I said before, where sometimes you just got to calm yourself down, get into a right mindset before you tackle the situation. And then the other one is, Elmi kind of touched on it, which is the rewards that you get. If someone bumps into you and you walk away, you're getting ajr. You know what I mean? Because when you said someone bumps into you, he yells and you say sorry and you walk away, you said I'm going to take the L. You're not taking the L, you just took the W.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it,
that's true,
that guy wants a
that's
fight,
true,
you don't. You walked away, you got what you wanted, he didn't get what he wanted. You won in that situation, you got the ajr. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get ajr for making sure he didn't start anything and he didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? So that mindset of, oh, you're not a man, you're not macho if you don't stand up for someone arguing with you. There's certain situations where you have to stand up as a man, right? If you see a woman being abused, you stand up. And if you can't call the cops, if the person's too big, you have to do something. If you see someone being oppressed,
And that's when
as a man, you do something.
and that's when you obviously sorry to cut you off there. That's when the haqq comes in. You have to stand up for the what is
right
truth.
for people, yeah.
Right.
Right.
But obviously, a sister's getting abused. Like there was a video recently in Sydney or somewhere like that. So she was getting abused. I'm not telling the story.
Yeah,
100%.
in
There
a
was just-
restaurant,
and people were just sitting around.
Yeah.
I was shocked, bro.
Best
I would've got
believe
up and
you're not
obviously
sitting there
not
doing nothing.
physically gone into a fight with the person. At least like try to protect the
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah.
You have to stand up for the truth, bro.
But that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Standing up for what's right doesn't mean fight. Literally,
Yeah.
fighting for what's right doesn't mean throwing hands.
Yeah.
Fighting for what's right could just literally be going, hey, what are you doing? Stop that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, walking away and going, hey, I'm not going to start this fight is you standing up for what's right. It's not, when they say fight back or whatever it is, people literally think if you're not fighting, you're not a man. So this whole mentality of you're like, and it happens, like if you see a friend saying that, like, hey, oh, you're a this, you're a that, you're not a man, you're a woman for doing this, you got to pull him up on it, because kids hear that stuff. The younger generation, they're going to grow up thinking, oh, now I'm not a man because I didn't get into a fight. Now I'm not a man because that guy bumped into me and I walked away. You know what I mean? So in Islam, it teaches us you don't want to start any problems, But if there's a problem and it's not going to go away, of course you're going to have to come resolve it. So, like I said, calm yourself down.
Yeah.
Do your wudu. Sit down.
I like that. You know, just when you think deeply into the whole advice of the Prophet ﷺ, you know, of if you're standing, sit down. If you're sitting, lie down. And if you're lying down, then go for a walk or something. That whole changing your, like, you think about it, right? Somebody is lying down. Let's reverse it, right? Somebody's lying down and he's having a discussion and it gets escalated. Automatically, he's not going to stand up. He's going to sit up.
Yeah.
And when he sits up, he's going to continue that, and then he's going to stand up. Once he stands up, you know what it is. It's a fist fight, right?
Do the reverse.
Yeah, so you do the reverse. But it's just that whole mentality of changing your posture and how that affects you as well. That's really key. For me, what I would think is, I want to tackle it from a different point of view. Yeah. My one is, if something happens to you, even if it's within your control, maybe look at the best possible outcome that might come of it, or having trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, for example, you know, you have Ibrahim alayhi salam and his wife Hajar radiallahu anha, when they were in the desert, and you know, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he leaves her and her child there in the desert where there's literally nothing in terms of being able to survive or socialize with people. Nothing, absolutely nothing. But what she asked was, did Allah command you to do this? And when he replied yes, her mindset shifted. She didn't say, we're not going to survive. She didn't say, this incident that's happening to me, why me? All she said is, in that case, we'll be okay. It comes back to that statement in the Quran, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah does not overburden a soul more than it can bear. So whatever it is that you're going through, whether it's COVID, whether it's a loss in a family, whether it's you are having an altercation with a relative, whether it's a recent car accident, or something's just not going right, you lost your job, whatever it is, I think you'll be okay, because you are put in a position that either changes you for the better or tries to work on something that you have a weakness in, right? So it could be just increasing your patience, maybe increasing your strength to actually look for other alternatives. And that's the other thing, is like preparing yourself for an opportunity to be able to, grow yourself, to be better. So don't look at these things that happen to you as a problem, but you look at them as like a ladder that helps you step forward, step up. And grow into yourself. And
also having that in the back of your mind takes it back to our previous point of taking the lessons of when you fail. So if you lost your job and in your mind you go, of course I'm put in this situation because I'm able to handle it. God won't put me in a situation I can't handle it. Now you're going, okay, what can I learn from that situation? Because some people will just go, oh yeah, this is messed up, I'm in a bad situation, like my boss fired me, I didn't do nothing wrong, that's all his fault, and they'll go on. But you never know, that job might not have been right for you. It might have been a blessing in disguise. That job might have not been right for you. It might have led you to haram, maybe, depending on what type of work it was. Or it might, like you said, it might be something beneficial for you afterwards that you can just look back on and go, okay, if I work on this or if I work on that. Because if you're late to work all the time, best believe you need to get fired for you to the next job. You'll know I ain't gonna come late. You know what I mean? But if you go, oh, it's just my boss not understanding my situation and the fact that I have no car, whatever it is, you're gonna keep that same mentality in your new job and you're gonna get fired again.
You need to taste unemployment in order to appreciate employment, right?
Exactly.
Wallahi, man. And one of the biggest arguments and one of the biggest heated emotional responses that can be made is usually between a husband and wife, right? Especially when they're going at it in verbally over something. Sometimes it might be just petty, right? But there was this one story which I heard, and Allahu A'lam if he is a companion of the Prophet ﷺ, but he basically said that he's never, in his 80 years of getting married, of being married, he has never had an actual argument with his wife, right? And he goes on to qualify that statement, saying that whenever she's hot, I'm cold. Whenever I'm hot, she's cold. Now that doesn't mean that they've never verbally discussed things. They've never actually, portrayed things. But he's never created a situation that leads it to escalate further and further, and it's just a vicious cycle which you can never get out of, right? But he's made himself a sounding board. So when she's hot, he's listening, he's attentive, he's trying to be caring, he's diffusing the situation with good manners and good actions and good words. And she does the same. So they're kind of like learning of each other. And just these two statements, the fact that he said, in the 80 years, I've never had an argument with my wife. Whenever she's hot, I'm cold. Whenever I'm hot, she's cold. That in itself, you can extrapolate so much out of it. It's just, wallahi, and it teaches you so much, man.
But I think you also hit it, because we're talking a lot about physical stuff too. The tongue is sharp and can cut pretty deep, you know what I mean? So it's because, like, you can get hit, a bruise will heal, but if you say something to someone, they might hold on to that for like forever, you know?
Yeah.
So saying certain things when you're in a heated argument, that's why like I said before, I literally tighten my lips on purpose, and I do not say a word. I might be thinking a lot of things in my head, but I know that I'm not going to say a word, because it's really hard in that situation when someone is abusing you and going off at you, for you to go, if I say anything, I'm going to lose, while they're attacking you, you know? And sometimes you just got to leave that situation. But like you said, man, you got to be very careful of your tongue.
Absolutely, man. And hopefully, like I said, man, I've said this twice already throughout this episode, but
say it again.
A lot of things are going to happen in 2020, and they will continue to happen in the next couple of years. They might happen to you personally. They might happen to you globally and everyone. They might happen to somebody that you know, or you might see it in front of you, right? And it's someone that you don't know. Regardless, you always have an opportunity to react, and assessing whether your reaction has the right intention, has the right way of dealing with things, and has potentially the best outcome. Like, you mean the best, right? Sometimes when you mean the best, even though your action doesn't follow through with it, most of the time, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you, and it will make the situation a little bit better. So I think in saying that, the point we're trying to get across is your reaction matters, and it will always matter, because we are people that go through incidents. You know, this life is a test for a reason, and it's to test your reaction as well. It's not just to test how you deal with things, but how you deal with it from the beginning to the end, right? And sometimes the beginning sets the pace for, you know, the end. So I think if you're going to begin to resolve an issue, begin with the right reaction.
I'll also throw in one other thing. You can also react to how you reacted, because just because you reacted poorly in that moment, you should always come back and apologize. And even if the other person was in the wrong, if you reacted to escalate it, your fault was making it worse.
That's true.
Your fault might not have been starting it, but you should come and go, hey, look, you were heated, whatever it is. I knew you were heated. I reacted wrong. I shouldn't have done that.
Love it.
So then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Apologize. Say
That's
sorry.
true.
That person will obviously go, oh, wait, he's right in what he said, but I'm also a jerk now if I don't apologize, because I'm the one that started the whole thing. And if that person doesn't, then you can just, you know, make your apology.
And that shows you've actually assessed your reaction. Yeah.
That's true. That's true,
But yeah, man, guys, I think we should leave it here. We've pretty much discussed most of it.
React to this podcast, this episode.
Yeah, let us know, inshallah, if there's ever been a situation in your life where you feel like you've reacted poorly, but you've apologized and that's made things better, or you feel like you could do over and react differently. Let us know. Like, we'd like to get your feedback on these things as well. But as always, tune in for another great episode, inshallah, next week.
Inshallah.
And hopefully we'll try and be as consistent as possible, man. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Too easy, boys.
Allah.
Lights out.
Salam.